So, you just finished your sabbatical and you're about to re-enter normal life. What things should you consider as you make this re-entry, and how can you make it successful? Hi, I'm James and welcome to the Fruitful Being channel. Today we're going to look at the key things to consider when re-entering into life after a sabbatical. I myself have just gone through this process. I finished my sabbatical and re-entered back into work life, family life to the fullest extent. And today I'm just going to share some thoughts and tips on what I've picked up along the way and what to consider. And as ever, there'll be the one more thing at the end, so stay tuned for that, my kind of Steve Jobs equivalent. So let's get into things. To benefit yourself from more of this content and to help me reach others in the YouTube community, it'd be great if you could subscribe, share and like this video. Thank you so much. So firstly, you need to set the right trajectory. Now when I think about setting trajectories and re-entry, I think of spaceships and shuttles coming to land. Now as they do that, they need to set the right trajectory through the atmosphere, and if they don't, they either bounce off it or they will crash and burn in it. And it's the same with the sabbatical. You've just been on a mission, so to speak, and you want to land well, and setting the trajectory to land well and come in is really important. The last thing you want to do is crash and burn and waste all the benefits that you've just built up and all that learning that you've built up in a sabbatical. So setting the trajectory is really key in this. So what should you consider when setting a trajectory? Well, the first thing I would say to you guys is maybe phase your re-entry and that trajectory. So the reason being is that there's lots to pick up when you come back from a sabbatical. There's work things, there's family life, different routines. If you're doing voluntary things, there's so much to consider, and the tendency or feel would be, right, I'm straight back into things and pick everything up. But that's quite a burden to do that. So maybe phase your re-entry, pick things up at different stages and work from there really. So for myself, I decided to go back to work 3 days a week in order to give space to help with the other areas of my life. So that's probably the first thing. The second thing is to manage expectations. Perhaps, especially with your boss at work, so to speak, or your spouse at home, it's important really to get on the same page with them and maybe agree what it looks like over the first couple of months of you coming back into what is normal life following a sabbatical. So yeah, sit down, talk to them, agree a way forward. And I suppose I just want to reiterate that aspect of don't try and do everything at once. Your rhythms and routines always take a while to bed in and process, so give yourself time over this period. The final thing to consider when setting a trajectory would be to expect turbulence. Now even if you get that trajectory absolutely right, there will be turbulence along the way, because it's not all about you, it's about working with others. So there's going to be turbulence with it, but hold tight to the process, just like with the space shuttle coming in to land on Earth. There's turbulence involved in that, but they know that the destination's secure where they're going, and they've done enough planning to make it all right. So yeah, expect turbulence, but hold tight and just let the process work through. The second main thing to consider when looking at re-entry following a sabbatical is to assess how the land lies. Now I mean this in really all contexts, maybe predominantly work, but in all contexts. The reason being is that the whole purpose of you taking a sabbatical was to create change in your life, or to make a change, make a difference in your life. But as you've stepped out of things, the people that you've kind of left behind to pick up work or deal with things at home or in your church have also moved on. They've also developed maybe new skills. They've stepped up to mark to fill the gaps that maybe you've left. And so that you can come back in and people could see you as a threat, because they've kind of stepped up and filled the void that you might have felt that you have left or have left. So therefore it's important just to take time to assess the land and see how things lie. So what should you consider as your assessing how the land lies. The first thing I would recommend is to just take time to observe. So if we take a workplace example, take time just to observe what's changed in the culture, how people's job roles may have changed, who's picking up what, is there any people who have left while you haven't been there. So just take that time out to be able to observe and see what's changed. The second thing is to serve. Now, when you come back into things, the last thing people want is someone just to, I suppose, come in with lots of freshness and ideas and just steamroller over things. The best way is to serve, get alongside people, meet them where they're at, help them with the tasks and things that they need to do, and then begin to, I suppose, build relationship and work from there. Being able to serve people then allows you to assess, again, how the land lies and helps you to observe better. And alongside this, I think I mentioned it already, but just take your time. Just like when, I suppose, the space shuttle, to continue that analogy we've used, the astronauts come in, they've landed, and they're getting out the capsule, if you like, and then the months that follow is all about reacclimatising to the environment. And this is what this stage is about. It's about doing that. So give yourself plenty of time and don't feel you need to come in and make a difference. Just assess the land and get alongside people and observe and serve. Before we move on to my final point, I thought I'd just flag up some resources that may be of help to you. Links to them are coming up on the screen now, and these are 2 to 3 minute videos. They're kind of thought videos looking at actions, mindsets and tools that can help you become more fruitful. So check them out, and I hope they bless you and help you on your fruitfulness journey. And the final point is this, that we need to value the past but look to the future. Now, as we have said, the kind of whole purpose of Sabbatical is to probably create change, to move on from what's happened in the past. And as you re-enter into life, if you like, after that, you need to begin to re-educate people in terms of what's changed with you and what you want to be, I suppose, be known for or identified for in the future. People haven't got a crystal ball. They're not going to know what learning and development and everything that's gone on in your sabbatical unless you tell people and be quite clear with them. At the same time, though, you don't want to really make the past something that you're trying to get away from. So hence why I say it's about valuing the past but looking to the future. So what does this look like and can involve? Well, for me it involves celebrating and educating. So the tendency when we come back into things and want to push off in a new direction is to push down the past, to forget about it. But it's in the past, in terms of work you've carried out and activities you've undertaken, that the relationships have been built and where the trust is, if you like. And as you move forward, you need a bit of a foundation of that trust, that secure relationship, in order to educate people in terms of what you're looking to do next. So it's really important to value that past and celebrate what that looks like. So celebrating all the things that you've done well as a team or done well together, all those memories. It's important really when you come back from sabbatical just to remind people of those and to highlight those in order to create that, if you like, that bridge in order for you to educate people in terms of what you want to do next. Now, many years ago when I came back from university, this is a little bit how it felt when I came home. I kind of moved on, and there's a bit of, I suppose, friction with parents and everything, mainly because they were thinking, oh, James was like this, and hadn't seen what I had changed or wanted to do for the future for 4 years in great detail. So there needed to be that time to look back at the past and celebrate, but also it was in my call to educate people, and educate in that case my parents, where I was heading for the future. So yeah, it's important to both celebrate and educate people. On the education side, you've got to be clear with people about, actually, no, that was what I did in the past, this is where I want to head in the future, and bring people along the journey with you. Just let them be a part of that, show them where what has prompted these changes, what you have a faith for in the future, how they can perhaps help you in the future. So make sure these things are, I suppose, first and foremost as you're coming back into sabbatical and helping people to come along in that journey with you. So in terms of my sabbatical and the whole celebrate and educate, I came back from my sabbatical knowing really what I didn't want to do. I was quite clear on that, but wasn't so sure on where what the future direction should be. So as we sat down and I explored that with my work colleagues, if you like, it was clear that my existing role and where I was heading didn't match. So we had to make some sort of tough calls, and in the end my role was made redundant, which was fine because I was moving in a different direction. My contribution to the organisation was going to change, and now we're still working out what that looks like for the future. But that's fine. It's given space and opportunity to really get a hold of what I feel called to. So yeah, that's a part of my story, and that involved that education process, which was key in saying to people, actually no, this is where I'm heading. I'm not the James that I was before the sabbatical started. So to sum up then, it's really important that you are intentional about your re-entry process following a sabbatical. It's important that you set the trajectory of how you want to re-enter back into things. It's important that you see how their land lies and see how people have moved on since you've been on sabbatical. It's important to celebrate the past but look to the future and really educate people on where you feel that you're heading. And now my one last thing, as I say, a bit like Steve Jobs' one last thing, is just to remember this, that it's going to be so easy for you to fall back into old tracks, if you like. It's amazing how much, when you go back into an environment, you kind of reset into, I've always done it this way, or I'm in this environment, this is what I must do. And if you've moved on from a sabbatical and want change, you've got to be careful not to fall back into those ruts. Like I say, it's so easy to do, and it's a little bit like a river. If you're not intentional about it, then you'll just get carried along by the current. You'll enter and then you could just drift along with everyone else. So yeah, really be intentional about that, and make sure you're not distracted and fall back into those ruts that you've maybe been in the past. If you've got any further questions or queries from the content that I've shared here, then please put them in the comments below, and I'll do my best to get back to you and help you further. So I hope this has been helpful to you. Be fruitful, and I'll see you in the next video.